Order. Welcome to the May 19th, 2022 ADA Committee meeting. My name is Sandra Seidel, and I am the chair of the ADA Accessible Committee. Please look at the screens of your devices. An image of the flag is displayed. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Staff, will you please do the roll call?
Yes, ma'am. Committee Member Clark?
Present.
Committee Member Jenkins? Committee Member Levy? Committee Member LeBeau?
Present.
Committee Member Mills? Here. Committee Member Poncho?
Here, present.
Committee Chair Seidel? Present. Committee Chair Seidel?
I'm here.
Committee Member Williams? Present. Committee Member Wazorek?
Present.
Did you okay?
That's great.
You do have a quorum, Madam Chair.
Rules for the meeting participation are provided in the packet for your information. Next is public comment. Right now, there is no one that signed up to speak today. Is there anyone present who would like to speak? The next section 4 of the packet, you will find the meeting minutes from the February 17, 2022 ADA Accessible Committee hybrid meeting. Are there any comments or corrections? Is there a motion to approve the minutes from the February 17, 2022 ADA Accessible Committee hybrid meeting?
Gloria Mills, I say move.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. Minutes are passed. Next on the agenda is a presentation on the May 29th, 2022 HART service changes. Mr. Brian Abrams, Manager of Bus Operations, you're recognized to present.
All right, good afternoon, Brian Abrams. May 29th, we'll be starting some service changes for 11 routes. The 7, 8, 9, 10, 14, 17, 30, 32, 36, 37, and 38. As we're going to put it on the screen in a second. We are trying to do on-time performance improvements, so the next service change will focus on those with these 11 routes. There are no other changes, no route changes, just schedule changes. And that's pretty much it. Any questions?
Yes,
Yes.
we have, because of COVID and a lot of other reasons, there's in South Tampa, 14 and 19 and probably ones that I don't use the fixed route, all of them. But they're only once an hour. Is there any change or thinking of increase the time of, say, to half an hour or something like that?
For the May 29th service change, there will be no change in frequencies, but as time goes on, this year we are looking at some of those items, including frequency changes possibly.
So if there's no frequency changes, what's the change in the schedules? Is it just a few minutes here and there, or, because you said there's no route changes or anything like that?
The changes that are made are time point changes to improve the reliability and the on-time performance of the routes.
Okay.
Brian, if you remember, could you mention maybe some of the interlines?
Yeah, of course. So interlining is a term we use in transit where one route at the end of its line turns into another route. And we have found through some research that some of our interlines are not practical, or we can find other interlines that improve on-time performance. And so we'll see a lot more interlining routes for this next markup or service change on May 29th that will help to improve the on-time performance. As a customer, you don't see those interlines, but internally, it helps us to manage the system better.
Can you give us some idea of some of the interlines that's going to happen?
Sure. So currently, the Route 8 and 7 interline. So every time those routes get to the Marion Transit Center downtown, the 7 turns into the 8 turns into the 7. We're going to break that interline because the Route 8 needs an improvement of on-time performance, and we found that it being by itself, it runs a lot better. Route 10 and 32 will be a new interline for the new service change, and they'll change over each time they reach the airport. And so it helps with recovery time in case one trip runs over due to traffic, whatever, and the time that it has at the airport has to recover so it starts the new route on time. So that's one example.
Okay.
Yeah, any?
So Brian, you were sharing earlier that at this point, the frequency of these routes wouldn't necessarily change, but in the future, are we possibly looking at less pickups or more increased frequency of at the stops and such?
So we are going to look at the entire system and what the needs of the community are versus resources available, and we'll make determinations as to what we can do. Do we need to shuffle some things around? Do we need to increase here, decrease there? So that is coming, and that's in the works now.
Okay. In the past, I've heard concerns from individuals who use the transit, and they have some limited windows to make sure that they're at work on time, and then also leaving, those types of things. So that's what I was factoring in, so.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you.
So the changes we're doing right now were some of the ones where we were getting most complaints through customers of maybe the on-time performance. So I think the next change is in September, right?
Yes, the next change is, we're looking at September.
So in September, and we'll come and present to the committee, we're going to have probably some bigger changes that will address some of the other ones. But we wanted to work on these first routes first because they're the ones that you guys have mentioned in the past, and some of our customers have mentioned that they would like to see some changes in the schedule to make them perform better.
Thank you. Thank you.
Welcome.
That's it.
Thank you. Brian, thank you for the update. I do notice that you have the QR code that's listed on the document as well as a reference point or reference point. So thank you. We could go to this and get further information and details. But for the purpose of this session, if we are able to include the information or go to the reference point for the meeting going forward, maybe that'll give us some additional insight as to the changes that are being made. But I do appreciate that you have this information here for us to go in the future and look and we'll have this going forward.
Of course.
Thank you.
Would you like to see the timetables in the future?
I just, as you're presenting, and for the purposes of the information in the board meeting, that maybe we could reference the QR code and look at the example in the meeting itself, and then we could go back and continue. We'll have this as our point of reference in the future. If you don't, thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Abrams.
Welcome.
Next is an action item. Before the committee is an action item to review and approve the proposed updated committee bylaws. The proposed bylaws are available in the packet. Does HART staff or committee members have any questions or comments on the proposed changes?
Madam Chair, good afternoon, everyone. I just have one question. There's no issues at all with the bylaws, but I just wanted to make sure, since we do have our budget cycle, which will be starting our public involvement period in the next month, we just want to, I would say, ensure that the schedule of the committee meetings affords this committee an opportunity to provide input, maybe in this forum, on our budget. So right now, we're having this committee meeting today, and then we're going to start our budget meeting next week, where we present our tentative budget to our finance committee on the 25th, but then just making sure that the schedule of your next committee meeting also allows input. So that's just one thing I did want to raise, to ensure that when we're scheduling these meetings, you do have a listing of, the number of meetings that you have in your bylaws, to make sure that there's one that coincides with our budget process, which is pretty static. Kimberly, does that make sense?
Yeah, yes, it does. Our next scheduled meeting, but we can always call, the chair can always call a meeting. Our next scheduled meeting is August 18th. So maybe we can set up either, if we want to do something before that, we could set up maybe some web meeting or a meeting with the committee. We can check with everybody's dates. I think everybody here is usually pretty accessible, that we send information out or have a presentation, and we can arrange for something if we want to do it before then. That's great.
Per Article 8, Section A, the bylaws will become effective immediately upon approval by the committee. Is there a motion to approve the bylaws as they are proposed and presented at this meeting?
I actually have a question.
Okay.
What were the changes?
I can review them. We did review them last meeting. I have them highlighted in here, just in case I had that question. Some of them were wording. So, for example, heart wasn't, the word heart wasn't in some of the areas in there. So I'll point out the major ones. One was that on occasions when you guys can't attend, you will ask a representative to attend in your name. So that change was to allow for your representative to vote on your behalf when we do have a meeting. Then we had a section where members, committee members, it used to say shall serve 3 one-year terms. So the suggestion and the change that was done was, now it says each committee member shall serve a term of 3 years, and a committee member may serve up to 2 3-year terms. And Greg was mentioning for this, and there's another one about terms, that we had it before for 1 year, but sometimes a year is just not enough for somebody to, we only have 4 meetings a year, so it wasn't like enough for everybody to get up to speed. So that's how that recommendation came out. And the next one was about the officers. So the office, it used to be that an officer shall serve for 3 years. And now we're changing it for the terms of office of all officers shall be, I'm sorry, before it was 1 year, so we changed the term to 3 years. So an officer can serve for 3 years. And that was the major changes. The other thing were some grammar, and we also added a sample of the application for when we have new members. And the application's there. It doesn't mean, somebody asked me that earlier, it doesn't mean we're accepting new members right now, but if we shall accept new members in the future, we did update and reword the application. Those are the changes, Ms. Pancho.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Williams?
Was there, I just want to go back to Mr. Grant's request regarding the ability to review the budget Is there a reference made to that point, or is that just noted?
The committee serves to give advice to HART on all different issues, so we don't necessarily list all of them because there's just different, there could be budget or there can be different projects going on, so we've left it open for the committees to be advisors to HART and liaisons with with our customers with disabilities. So we don't necessarily mention the budget, it just says that they can present and listen and advise on all issues and all projects related to HART.
Okay, all right, thank you very
You're
much.
welcome.
Any other questions? Is there a motion to approve the bylaws as they are proposed and presented at this meeting? Do I have a second?
This is Raquel, I'll second.
All in favor, please say aye. Anyone opposed, please say nay. Thank you, committee members, for your diligence and actions in this matter. I will sign the approved version to signify the committee's approval. Reports are next, and that's me. I've been using a bus a lot lately, and I'm especially seeing a lot of seniors use the Flamingo system, which I didn't see before, so I'm very proud of that. We can say with HART, the senior community is coming right up there. And I know I did ask Kimley this question a few weeks ago. When the system is not working, are the drivers still recording us being on the bus? And she did tell me yes, that they are being recorded. And to me, that makes a lot more sense. I'm also, when I'm using the bus or HART Plus or cab services, I'm getting a lot of inquiries from the community people. First of all, they see me in the wheelchair and they, of course, have asked how much the wheelchair costs. But then when they see me get out of the cab or HART Plus, they want information on how they too can utilize those services. So my question to everybody, or even to the people here at HART, what forms or flyers or what can I keep with me, or even with any of the committee members, that we can give out to these people? I know I tell them, call HART, call for HART Plus, or call Yellow Cab or whatever, but I think with me, I would like to have something to be able to give to them.
Yeah, of course, and we do have, the best customer service call center in Tampa. So you can always use one number for everything, but definitely in the next meeting, we can bring some of the PR material. We have some really rack cards, they're really small for travel training, and the travel trainers know a lot about all the services, but we can definitely get even maybe some copies of the applications for HART Plus and some information about the routes. I'll put a package together for you.
Okay.
And for all the committee members if they want to take something.
Yeah, that'd be great. I'm also finding, and I think Mr. Abrams knows about this too, there are, the buses on the 13 series, 1500 series, and 1600 series are having problems with the ramps. I know the other day, the bus came in and the ramp would not deploy even manually, because in the past, they tend to use that T-tool to pry it up, or they just try to pry it up with keys and it breaks it. So therefore, it can't be put back out. So we need to have some more service on these buses to make sure that the drivers are actually checking them out when they come on, or if they're coming on duty later in the afternoon, these need to be checked out, and if so, then we need to get them to the maintenance department and make sure that they run, because I know on my route, we've got 3 or 4 of us that are in wheelchairs. We depend upon that every day. So I'd like to see that jump out. Also, the T-tool that you put the ramps up with, 90% of the time, they're not on the buses again. I think they eat them or do whatever, or take them home, put them in their pocket. But those need to be checked out too, so that they're on the buses every single day. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Next is HART Plus and Customer Choice Voucher Program updates. Ms. Kimley Green, Interim Director of Operations Support and ADA, will present.
Thank you. And I have our updates for our Heart Plus and Yellow Cab numbers. So for Heart Plus, we had in April, as of April this year, 4,054 certified customers. I went ahead and added in the numbers for pre-COVID. So in April 2019, we had 3,696. So we have a little bump. And remember, we mentioned last meeting that we did expand our service area. I believe it was in February. So we are noticing a little increase. We've been working very closely with Sunshine Line. Thank you to you, Scott and Rosa, in transitioning the customers and making it a smooth transition, and that's working very well. And the word is getting out, so we are increasing our trips, and Heart Plus, it has been a little bit busier this current month. For April, we completed 14,701 trips. Our on-time performance for appointment time, we got 97% of our customers to their appointment on time. And that's Heart Plus. For Yellow Cab in April, we had 2,591 trips. Of those, a little bit over 1,500 were wheelchair trips. And on-time performance for them, on average, for the last 4 months, they have been at 97%, delivering customers to their appointments on time. And that's what I have for you today.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a question.
Yes, Ms. Mills?
Ms. Green, pre-COVID, I believe there was 9,000, and if I'm wrong, please correct me. And it's never been, still, I think people are scared to go out and do anything or work even. And how does it look as far as new persons, new members?
So in 2019, it went up maybe, I guess, around 10%. In 2019, we had around 3,600 certified customers. Nowadays, we have 4,000, so a little over 4,000. Keep in mind that not all of them are riding, so a lot of the customers get certified and they might not be riding. So a better number might be, before COVID, our highest day was around 600 trips a day. And now it is, and you're right, during COVID, we had a lot less people riding, and they are starting to pick up this month. And we've seen days where we have 700, or I think we got one day where we had 800 people a day. So we do have a lot more riders. And thanks for pointing that out, because that is a question we're getting a lot in the call center, is customers are noticing they are a little bit longer on the van. During COVID, we could probably take them directly to where they needed to go. And there was also that social distancing. So we have had to lift a little bit the social distancing, and customers are a little bit longer on the vans now. But yes, there's a lot more people riding.
Good, thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a question, Green.
Yes, Mr. Jenkins.
Lately, I've been noticing that some of the drivers do not want to help get their hot bus pass off for you. Someone like maybe they can't grab it. So I would like to know if there's something that we can do to fit that, like armband, or that we can ensure the driver, so they don't have to, you can't get the ticket out. I put it out in my pocket. If they don't want to grab it for you, I don't know what to do.
So, and you're talking about like helping you place the bus pass in the fare box, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yes, if you want, as that's happening, and I know sometimes you mention stuff and you say you don't want the driver to get in trouble, and when you guys bring something up, the drivers don't get in trouble. We can have if I know the specifics, we can address it directly with the drivers. While we have a policy that says that customers should put in their fare we also do reasonable accommodations, and that is a reasonable request when a customer does ask us to put the fare in the fare box. So that is definitely a service that we would provide. So if you like, if that happens in the future, or if you want, we can speak after the meeting, and we can have that chat with the operators. Understand this is, like we said it a while back, the COVID was something that caught everybody by surprise. It affected people in different ways, and And we were always very thankful for the operators that were there and helped our customers, but they always had that fear too. But we need to get beyond that, and that's definitely something we can help you with, and we will.
Because it's beginning to happen lately, because I've been riding hot bus for a long time.
Yeah,
And they always know that I had to get the ticket from the pocket. I put it there, they got one and keep going. But we got one driver that would not get it.
okay. And we can talk about that if you want after the meeting. We can definitely have I'll have a conversation with the driver and address the issue, but that would be a service that we would provide, so I can help you with that.
And did you ever look at the video, when I called you the video? About the driver,
Oh, the one about the ramp?
the driver that was driving so fast? In our lane?
I did put in a report, so Mr. Jenkins had put in a report of an operator that was driving fast, and he was also offering to help during training, because sometimes even if the driver's not speeding, if you have somebody in a wheelchair, it could be uncomfortable, certain turns, because it could make you feel nervous. So I did put in a request, Mr. Jenkins, for them to review it, but I did not myself look at the video, but I can follow up with you on what they found. I do know that the manager was gonna meet with that operator, but I didn't watch the video myself.
Okay, because that driver should not be on the road if you drive that way. Because you have people in the van, in the wheelchairs, who are doing this like this. You're doing 80 miles an hour, and you're going in and out lane. People blowing at the driver because you want to cut the money off. They can't be going on.
I understand, yes. But I did open that report for you, so we will follow up on that and let you know the resolution of the report.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Thank you. Next is basic transit infrastructure update. Mr. Dwayne Brown, Project Manager 1, you are recognized.
Good afternoon. I'm Dwayne Brown, the Basic Transit Infrastructure Program Manager for HART. I'm going to be going over all of our, can you hear me now? I'm sorry. So we're going over
that's
our
better.
projects, what we've been doing over the past 3 months. So we have, currently we have 14 projects what I'm going to be going over today and reviewing. So we have, the one completed project that we have. We have 3 projects that's in pre-construction. One project, as I have it in awaiting bids, but it's just awaiting signatures right now. Projects in permitting, 2 projects in permitting, and 7 projects that are in design. Here's a map. I wanted to give you guys an idea of the locations of where our current projects are. I know it might be covered up a little bit there, but the yellow markers are the ones that we are getting ready for construction. The red markers are the ones that are in design. The purple ones are the ones that are in permitting, and the green marker is the ones that we have completed. And so this just giving you an idea where in the county we're looking at right now. So with completed project. This is a project we did at Rome Avenue and Hillsborough Avenue. As you can see on the left-hand side are the pre-construction photos, and on the left-hand side is where our completed photos and what we did. We added, again, this bus stop is a very high ridership bus stop, and originally we had people, because of the way the road was made, they were actually like sitting in the road waiting for the bus stop to come, because people would just drive right up along there. So what we did, we added a sidewalk and curb there so that the bus could come up and then we can get them off of it. And also added a new shelter pad to each of those stops. So we did both the complimentary bus stops there. We have 3 projects that are in pre-construction, and that's to say that these projects are they are designed, they are permitted, and we are just waiting on construction. We're just waiting on our construction contract to come out of procurement for us to start these projects. So on Parsons Road, we have 14 stops that we're doing along there, bringing those up to ADA standards. This was the most recent. They did a change in service along that route where they extended the route. I believe it's the route 38. They extended the route 38 down to off of from Mango Walmart to down to Parsons Road, and put it all the way from Parsons at MLK all the way to Brandon Boulevard. And we have 14 stops along there that we needed to bring up to ADA standards, and those stops are going to be complete here. Then we have Hillsborough Orient Road. That one has been permitted by FDOT, and it is ready for construction. And we have 30th Street at Hillsborough Avenue. That stop has also been permitted by the city, and we're ready for construction as well. And then we're just waiting on, so this project is, we're just waiting for this contract to come out of procurement, and then we will get started on those first 3 projects. This is for our construction services contract. We have 2 projects that's in permitting at Armenia and Hillsborough Avenue. Armenia Avenue and Hillsborough Avenue. That one is waiting on the easement to come back from CPS, and then Tampa Boulevard and HCC. That one is in with the city. That one is in with the city right now. And then we have some 7 design projects that's right now. We have 34th at Lake Avenue. That's at the roundabout right at 30 on 34th and Lake. And then we have Falkenberg at MLK. And we're just going to move that bus stop around the corner and put it on Falkenberg instead of it being out on MLK. We have 2. We have the Route 37 and the 38 are right there. And then we have one that stops prior to the light, and then one that stops after the light. So we're just going to move it around the corner and put it on MLK put it on Falkenberg instead of having the 37 on MLK. We have Rolette Park and Mulberry Drive. That one is right. I know you guys are familiar with it. That corner is where Rolette Park Drive and 22nd meet. So it's like Mulberry and 24th right there. There's 2 stops that are right there that are high ridership. We're going to raise the platforms there, raise the curb so that the bus can come down. They're also going to put new shelter pads on those. Shell Point at 24th. That project is down at HCC in South County, the South County HCC. The president reached out to us. HCC reached out to us and asked us if we could help do a project out there, because they're going to be expanding they're going to be more students coming out there, and they wanted to make sure that they have a bus. They wanted to partner with us to make sure that we have a proper bus stop for the kids that are waiting out there. So we're going to expand that bus stop that's out there. Hines and Humphrey, that is a wonky stop, but we're going to fix that one up. Spruce and Clark. And then we also doing one at, it's not on here right now, but Columbus at Florida. We're going to be we're gonna be fixing. All right, so those were all of my current projects, and I wanted to give you an update on the new shelters. So we did get our prototype shelter in, and we installed that one at 22nd and Henry, right in front of the Grace Point medical facility that's there. Grace Point, they did a wonderful job in working with us. They came to us in 2019, and they asked us if we would, they were really concerned about their patients that were coming out, and they have a bunch of ridership there, and they wanted to get them out of the sun. And so they worked with us to do easements, anything that we needed to get new bus stops out there for them. And so we worked with them, and it was a very good spot for us to put the new shelter. So we installed a new shelter there at that spot. The new shelter, we got a lot of questions about it, about coverage and stuff like that. So the old shelters have 4-foot roofs. Our new shelters, what we bought, are now either 7-foot or 5-foot roofs. So we're getting to 25 to 75% more coverage on these new shelters, and also it's a lot better for maintenance and maintaining them. So it's a win-win for everybody with these new shelters, and I think they look pretty good. So we installed the shelters on May 11th. We have our first order of 30 that is coming in around the end of July timeframe, and then our second order of 30 will be coming in around the end of August. So we'll be expecting to get out about 60 shelters by September timeframe, hopefully. Next slide. And then here's a list here, kind of with the image of where the first 30 shelters, where we are potentially going to be placing those first 30 shelters. I noticed there's 31 on there, but that includes the one that our prototype shelter that's already at Henry, between 2nd and Henry. And so this is where we potentially that we're going to be putting them out. Again, this is subject to change. We'll do evaluation as the time comes on exactly where they're going to go. But for right now, this is the spots where we're going to be putting them. Do you have any questions?
2 questions.
Yes, sir.
When you change the bus stop around the corner from the MLK to the other side, you need to make sure that the people get noticed early so they know which bus they want to get on. And they won't be surprised that the bus is no longer on there.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Because I noticed that when you change buses, your notification is very slow.
Yes, sir. So our goal is to make sure that that it is broadcasted early and that before we make the changes that it goes out that, hey, we're going to be moving this bus stop from this spot to this spot, so that people know, okay, I'm riding this bus, I'm riding the 37 to here, and it's no longer going to be dropping off. It's just like the actual distance that we're moving in is maybe 200 feet, and like as it goes, but it's just like because we're moving it from it's on this street to moving it to another street, it's a little bit further to walk. But we'll make sure we're going to be working with our operations to make sure that everything works out.
The reason that's there because I noticed one time when they changed the bus and they got us waiting on the bus stop and the bus never came. And when you seen the bus on the other side, he almost got hit trying to get that bus.
Yeah. So it shouldn't be an issue with this particular one because so the 37 again, so it's 2 routes that stop right there. The 37 normally stops before to the near side of the light, so that because it's going to make a turn where the bus stop is right now. It's a little bit technical, I'm not going on that, but when the bus turns, it's a turn lane that's right there, so the bus stop is prior to the turn lane, and so the 37 doesn't go all the way across. So if you go on the 37, you're riding the 37 trying to get over to the mall or something, to the mall or something like that, then it's not going to affect like you going up to 38.
Okay. and then my upgrade in the new shelter. And you gonna put any of those shelters on 21st Street?
Are we gonna put new shelters on 21st Street?
Yeah, I've been waiting for a long time to get a shelter on 21st Street.
Yes, I can say yes, that we're gonna be putting, we're gonna have some bus stops that on 21st Street that are gonna have shelters on them.
But right now you only got maybe one or two, all the way from 22nd, all the way to the bathroom. There is a very, only one, two shelters on 21st Street.
So our goal, the goal for the shelter program is to replace all those shelters that we have out there. I can't say that I will be able to replace all of them like within the first 60 shelters that we get, but eventually over the time frame of the shelter program, we're looking to replace all those shelters and put in shelters. The thing about these new shelters, what we're getting in, is that their footprint is a lot less than the footprints of the other shelters that we have out on the street. And so they will, along 21st Avenue, there's the issues that we have with putting shelters in those spots is that we don't have a whole bunch of right of way. And in order for us to get those shelters in, the dimensions that we have, we would have to take space from people's houses.
Okay.
We would have to go to each individual homeowner and say, hey, I need to get you to give me an easement in order to put this here.
So that's why they would never, it's just, for 47 years when I've been living there, I never seen a bus shelter on all this.
Yes, and so it's difficult sometimes to get shelters in those spots, but our goal is to work with the community and get shelters in the spots where we can get them in places where we do have the ridership and we do have the right of way, and then also to these new shelters help us with that a little bit better than the old shelters do. So in those spots where we do have like 8 or 9, like right at the edge of what we need for the shelters, these new shelters will allow us to be able to.
I was just wondering because we all years we never had a shelter on 21st.
Yes, sir.
But now I know.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
When you replace a shelter and leave, I guess, the little rivets and things that you put into the cement, is there a way that you can grind those down so that our wheelchairs and people on walkers and canes will not, bump into those and,
Yes, absolutely.
there's a lot of that.
So with that, and so there's going to be some spots where so right now we've located 172 locations that we can swap bus stops. All we have to do is take one shelter out and put one shelter in, and so we have identified those locations. And there's going to be some times in there where once you start doing construction, you see the conditions on the ground, and then we may have to remove a shelter pad in order to get that new shelter on, because some of those conditions at the stop where they may have because there's like over 10 different types of shelters that we have out there, and there were different ways they got installed. So when we're removing them, it may require for us to do some stuff to get it out, and it may break the concrete or whatever. But our goal is to make sure that the surfaces are flat and smooth and ADA meet all ADA requirements. So that we either gonna have it smoothed down to where it's gonna be where nothing is sticking up, or we're gonna remove the whole thing and put a new shelter pad in it.
Thank you.
So
Go.
I have a question. So for the existing places, if the little screw things are still in there, what's the best way for a community member to alert HART to the concern for the tripping hazard if something's still in the existing pads?
Yeah, the best way would probably be if they call it into the call center, we can put in a report for them, and we track those reports, and they have so many days to let us know what the status is gonna be, so that will be the best thing to do. I'll send you a list.
Yes, ma'am.
A request. So first, thank you for all of the ADA improvements and being able to provide, a better shade for our community members who are waiting at the stops. This heat was horrendous, so thank you very much for doing that. The notification would be incredibly helpful. I know recently, because of the sidewalk closure, I received a call from the Lighthouse for the Blind that they were very concerned about their visitors not being able to access their location because of the sidewalk closure. So when your team does possibly even just move the bus stop, from around the corner, people with visual disabilities typically memorize their path of travel. So, doing some very concerted efforts to the Lighthouse for the Blind, Division of Blind Services, to community members would be incredibly helpful, because someone with low vision or no vision is not going to know that it's just around the corner.
Yes, ma'am. We will make sure that happens, that goes out. And also too, like all construction that happens around bus stops is not necessarily hard construction. It is, we've been trying to work a lot better with FDOT and with the city and with the county, with them giving us notice on when and where they're going to be doing projects, so that we can get notifications out to people who we can, so we can get notification out to the buses and notifications out to our patrons on where and when these things are going to happen. But they don't necessarily play well with others when they're doing construction, because they are, what we notice is that some of these construction projects have been in the works for several years, and when HART comes in and says, hey, you need to give us notifications, or you're getting ready to change this bus stop, or you're getting ready to change this thing, and it's going to wreak havoc with us, they are very reluctant on changing their plans. And so we have to, and then that leads them to not even want to talk to us, because they're like, oh, well, HART is going to make us change our plans. And we're like, this is something that has to be done. This is not a HART requirement. This is a safety issue for all our patrons, for the whole entire county. So,
If it's ever anything involving the city of Tampa, I'm the ADA coordinator for the city, so never hesitate to contact me, because we want to make sure that everything's in lines and such. I just raised that one just as an example. I actually been trying to brainstorm, and try to help the Lighthouse for the Blind and the Division of Blind Services in regards to notifications to them about the sidewalk closures, so that they can alert their consumers and such. But I was just using that as an example of the difficulty that would cause. So, yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Roundtable discussion is next. Ms. LeGrand?
So I did want to share, and I pulled it up, we do have out and available for public consumption our program of projects for HART, and I did want to call to attention one specific project. So on our capital project list, we have, I'm going to start with the operating project list. On our operating project list for ADA paratransit, we have $3,654,691 associated with operations for paratransit service. And then also on our proposed program of projects, and these projects are being funded by $5,307, also have paratransit vehicles on that list. And for that dollar amount for the paratransit vehicles is $1,550,000. So I did want to make sure that I brought that to your attention. Again, these are the fundings from 5307, our formula funds from the federal government, and those are the two projects on the list that are specifically geared toward ADA paratransit service.
Sounds good. Raquel?
So first, I want to thank you, Kemily. You were incredibly helpful with the city staff member who has a job now at the port. This individual used to be able to drive, but now has some concerns for safety for driving, secured a position in the port, not realizing that accessing paratransit to her workplace may be difficult to do. So Kimberly was absolutely incredibly helpful, so thank you.
You're welcome.
Working with my colleague, trying to get the security clearances and all of those things, so thank you very much. I do have a question. So when a ramp on a bus does not actually work, what are the provisions for the community member who's there at the bus stop if the lift is not working? Do they wait for the next ride? I mean, is another transit called for some assistance?
I'll jump in, but maybe Brian wants to give us a little more info as well. Typically, the operator will report that to our control center, but we do have customers that sometimes are concerned and want a little bit more information, and they can always call us to the customer service center, and we coordinate with control. Sometimes, they do have a manual tool, and they will try to deploy it, but there are occasions where they can't do that, and they will send a second vehicle, right, Brian? Okay, good. Yes.
So a second vehicle could be deployed?
Yes, and there is a standard out there, so if there's going to be another bus that's already on a route within 10 or 15 minutes, we would let the customer know that. But if it happens to be an hourly route, we would send the vehicle. We wouldn't make them wait an hour. We would send the second vehicle out.
Good to know.
So we'll check the status of when the next vehicle is coming.
Thank you.
Maddie?
I just wanted to say thank you for the shelters. Obviously, like Raquel said, it is quite hot out there and it's getting warmer and warmer, so we do appreciate having those shelters. Oh, yes, sorry about that. Can you hear me okay? I did have a question. This is more of maybe getting advice from all of you. I have a client right now that I'm working with that just started working and has been using Heart Plus for quite some time. They have a set schedule. They're working 5 days a week, and it seems like now that she's working in the morning, and she's getting to work 2 to 3 hours early before her shift, and she's having to stay there 2 to 3 hours after her shift. And I know that there's the windows with Heart Plus, but I didn't know if you guys had any specific advice for an individual like that that's working 8 hours a day and then has additionally 5 or 6 hours of time they have to wait for transit. I just didn't know if you guys had any advice for me.
Go ahead.
About me, there's really nothing that we can do about that. That's the way that you schedule it. We have that time, what time you need to be at work. If you call and get them the time that you need to be at work, then the computer will say where you can get there 30 minutes before, 30 minutes after. But you have to tell the call center that you need to be at work at the time. Other than that, because they gotta know that this is not a living place. You're gonna have to wait.
Sure. Thank you.
And so is she riding with Heart Plus? Mm-hmm. So yeah, to tie into what Mr. Jenkins was saying is we could probably look at her trips, and I'll get her name from you later on. Sometimes customers book their trips by the time they want to be picked up from home, and that was happening a lot, especially during COVID. Remember I mentioned that we had less people riding, so we tell the system you can only pick one thing, either the time you want to be picked up from home or the time you want to arrive to your destination.
Sure.
So when you do that, some people think that I'm only a few miles away, I'm gonna choose a pickup from home. When you do that, you tell the computer that that's your priority. So the computer met your priority, and they might have other people on the bus that maybe have to go to medical appointments and need to be there at certain times. Mm-hmm. So while we won't keep you on the bus forever, you will be riding a little bit because we have to meet the other priorities of people being dropped off. So that could be the situation. We can look at her trip. The solution might be that maybe we change her trip now for the time she has to be there. But the system also calculates past trips and traffic. So sometimes they'll still arrive early because maybe several people canceled that day, and then suddenly we have to drop her off sooner. But I found a lot that when we call, and we can look at her past trips and give her some recommendations to see if we can help her improve the time. It shouldn't be that she has to wait 3 hours each time.
Sure, and I appreciate that a lot, and
yeah.
just knowing that if there's a specific instance, and this doesn't just help her, I can have any of those individuals reach out, and they can kind of look at her rides and look at that specific
Sure.
instance.
I'll get with you in a minute, and we'll look at her rights.
Thank you.
You can also use the yellow cab. I mean, it's for you can use yellow cab. That way, then maybe a little bit better for the time. You don't know what time you want to go home, what time you want to be there, but if it's better for yellow cab, they are also for the heart. So, you know how far it is, if it's in the 20 mile, if it's in the 20 mile range, that's what I would do. If you don't want to wait, because when you ride around like you're going to have to wait. I mean,
Yeah, and we're understanding that there is going to, of course, be wait times. There are other
Yeah.
people riding. That's not a problem at all. I just think that there was a couple instances where she showed up at work at, say, 7:05 in the morning, and the gate wasn't even open. There was nobody there. So
Yeah.
I just wanted to be able to hopefully reduce those kinds of things.
Yeah, Mr. Jenkins had a great point. Some of our customers sometimes forget that we have that partnership with Yellow Cab. So if her trip is less than 20 miles, she would still pay the same cost. Sometimes they think they have to pay more. So if the distance, and it might not be 20, but maybe you probably remember better than I do. It depends on the mileage. If she is, I usually say 10, but it depends. But if it's less, then she would still pay the same $4 she would pay us, and they usually can do direct trips, so that might help too, but we'll look at it and
Yeah.
it
try to
would
give
be
her some
18, and then the $4 is 20. When the meter hit 20, you have to pay the difference.
Okay. Yeah, I'll definitely look at the mileage. Thank you.
Scott?
All right, I wanted to continue where Kimberly left off regarding the transition of Sunshine Line customers over to Heart Plus. And I do agree that went very well, very smooth. I think some of the things that allowed that to happen was early communication with the customers and letting them know exactly what was happening and the reason why. And then managing the customer's expectations by communicating. We also didn't give a deadline per se, like, hey, you have 2 weeks to get this done. We gave them 60 days. That way they don't have to stress. And then we also would do extensions as needed on extenuating circumstances. So, and it went very well, the coordination, the collaboration, and like I always say, you know, our services are coordinated, not duplicated, and that was great coordination, especially with the GIS data and stuff like that. So we were able to map out where all these clients were and they lived, so we can identify them and have that communication with them. So it was a total of 131 of our clients impacted. 23 were already eligible for Heart Plus. And that's probably from past transitions and things like that. So that was pretty neat. And we have 3 that are still pending due to application things. Because we have to sometimes realize with the individuals that use our services, they have a hard time filling out paper applications and things like that. So we give them extra time, and we did extend that. And we are still working with Kenley's team.
They love you, so they're really holding on. That's part of it too. They're like, why do we have to go to Heart? We want to stay with Sunshine.
And that's why we explained to them about the
Yeah.
statutes and things like that. It's neither one of our services. It's, you know, that's the law and the different fundings and things like that. So they understand. And that was the key, managing that expectation ahead of time. And so, yeah, went very well, I think, very smooth. And one thing I would probably, and this is just a Scottism, I would do is probably contact them and let them know how their integration with Heart Plus is going, and if they have any questions or if they're having any difficulties with the new system. Because these individuals, a lot of times they're set in their ways, and to make a change is very hard for them. And we found that out when we had to go to paper applications in 2017. You know, we went from eligibility over the phone to reduce that barrier to having to do paper applications. And what I was afraid of, we lost a lot of clients that way because they just can't fill out those applications. So that's just a Scottism that I would do, is just reach out to them and say, hey, how's it going with the integration, and any questions? Then the next thing I had for the customers not realizing about the service of Heart Plus and stuff like that, one thing we have to remember is COVID came along and all our outreaches stopped. So for over 2 years, we haven't been out in the community with our outreaches, and I miss those because it was usually Heart had a table and Sunshine Line had a table right there. And we do these events, coordinated, like I said, coordinated, not duplicated. And so that's going to take a while to get that information back out into the community. So any help we can get with individuals, and that's one thing our board, the Transportation Disadvantage Coordinating Board, asked, is if we can share our RAC card electronically with those members so they can get those out. So I'm looking forward to, now that COVID's starting to settle down and go away, that we start these outreaches again and get that word out in the community. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Arizona?
Like I said earlier, some of the drivers need to be retrained on driving the van. They need to figure out how to get the people who can't get the blood ticket out for them. They can do like an armband or whatever, however we want to figure it out. But some people, it would make it easy for me if I could just show my armband, that would usually that way know how to get the price out, or however you want to do it. And then, thank you for making the area longer so we can get to different places, because they not the budget for going to the doctor office because they're out of the area. Now that you put it back in, it's a lot better for me and other people who need to go out a little bit farther. So thank y'all for doing that. And that's all I had.
Welcome. Thank you.
Ms. Williams?
I just wanted to say, how do I get this? Is it on?
Ms. Green?
Green. Yeah, you're good. It's good. Okay. I just wanted to apologize for being late, and many of you may not know who I am because Samantha Gwaltney has been representing McDonald Training Center. I am Karen Levy, President and CEO of McDonald Training Center, and I hope to keep coming to the meeting. So again, I apologize for being late. Thank you.
Gloria?
Is Mr. Brian Abrams still here?
Yes.
I'm going to address my comments to you. I have seen a lot of directors here for the last 30 years that I've been working with HART as a passenger and somebody who studies things. And even though I had my life work and I've retired, I can have more time. And we're here to help you. Please understand that we may not agree with everything you say, but we're here to be positive. If you heard today, people have ride Heart Plus, people ride the fixed route, and there's never going to be every perfect, but my question to you, it seems to me you're very trying to fix, understand what we have here. And instead of worrying and rushing and going the wrong way, you're trying to find out what really needs to be fixed or not fixed. And I compliment you for that, because I think that's a good way to go through. And every place is this city. I haven't read up on where you're coming from yet. And anyway, I just want to tell you that maybe I would like to hear if you have any future plans, could you reveal something, very not long, just something that you might give us to think about?
Sure, real quick, I will say that the operations team is really focused on ensuring that all customer experiences are heard and they're important. And so throughout your use of our system, we'd like to hear your experience and your ideas, and we will put it into our pot and see what we can do. We're here for you, we're here for the community, and that's what we love to do. So I would say one of my goals as the manager for bus operations is to improve the customer experience in all aspects. And I appreciate that commendation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think she wanted a sneak peek at the September changes. Come on, Brian, give us a, I know you can't, I'm sorry.
Well, if you have any ideas, you can let Kenley know.
Yes.
Our staff know what areas you like to see, frequency changes, whatever it may be. We would do outreach, and we definitely want to serve the community better. That's what our goal is, so we're here for you.
We want these 24-hour service.
That's right.
Thank you. Kimberly?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay. Okay, our next meeting is currently scheduled for August 18th, 2022 at 3
Madam
p.m.
Chair, I'm sorry, Committee Member LeBeau is on the line.
Carmen Lebu.
I'm sorry?
Carmen Lebu is on the video,
Okay.
so you might want to go to Carmen.
Thank you. I'll try to speak fast. Well, I just wanted to share that Hillsborough County Board of County Commissioners has approved an additional $20 million in sidewalk repair funding. Sidewalks, as we know, are typically damaged over the years by the tree roots and vehicles, and broken sidewalks create barriers for people with disabilities. And hopefully this funding will alleviate all those repairs that we get several calls for that are throughout the county. And this is exciting because it'll create opportunities to have better connectivity to these proposed shelters that were just talked about. By the way, Mr. Abrams and Mr. Brown, I applaud you on your presentation today. I love the modern shelters, and I actually appreciate the space between the bench that it looks like it would accommodate people that use wheelchairs. So that's pretty exciting to see that we will be working in partnership, because as we know, South County is lacking a lot of sidewalks, so hopefully we will consider that in the construction and repairs. The BOCC on Wednesday, May 4th, voted 6-1 to use these $20 million throughout the county by an American Rescue Plan fund project that they created back in September 1st of 2021 to provide at least a framework for investing the $285 million in federal coronavirus, state and local fiscal recovery funds that our county received. This funding will support the vital projects throughout the county related to water, sewer, and broadband infrastructure, public health response, negative economic impacts, and revenue replacement for certain government services. Hillsborough County Public Works maintains more than 3,200 miles of sidewalk with a budget of only $500,000. So this is huge, and we know that it's greatly needed for our county. These $20 million that have been approved by the BOCC will dramatically increase the number of neighborhoods that Hillsborough County can improve by making repairs to these sidewalks. That's all I have, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, the next meeting is August 18th, 3 p.m. here at the administration facility. Is there any old business? New business? If not, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mhm.